Welcome to Dream Story Sleep, where timeless tales are gently retold. In this quiet space, there are no lights, no traffic, no noise, only a calm voice, steady and slow. You don't need to rush. You don't need to remember. Just listen and let the world fade. If this story brought you peace, please like, subscribe, and share a comment. Tell me when you listened and what it made you feel. Your presence means more than you know. And it's what keeps this storytelling fire alive. In our modern world, we have countless ways to lull our minds to sleep after a long day. A warm cup of tea, a clean bed with soft comforters, and sometimes simply an ASMR video. You know, those videos are usually not too loud, just a person whispering, the sound of fingernails tapping on wood, fabric rustling, someone gently turning pages of a book. No music, no climax, yet they make people feel strangely comfortable. ASMR, a modern term, short for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, a way to describe the sensation of a slight shiver, deep relaxation when hearing certain special sounds. It's not as loud as pop music, not as intense as action movies. It's just whispers, gentle taps, the crackle of fire, the scratch of a pen on paper. Yet it can lead people into deeper sleep than any medicine. But have you ever wondered, did medieval people know what ASMR was? How did they fall asleep when there were no phones, no YouTube, no headphones? And within thick stone walls, amidst flickering candlelight and the wind whistling through cracks, did some form of ASMR exist? Primal, instinctive, and silent? Today, I will take you back, not with a time machine, but with imagination, with narration, with sounds that don't need to be produced because they already exist in your mind. Imagine you are not in a modern 21st century room, but rather in a stone house, rough walls, candles burning animal fat, the floor covered with dry straw, and outside only night. No electric lights, no heaters, only the warmth from the hearth where someone is slowly rekindling the fire, each log bumping against another, creating a clunk-clunk sound, then a thud, as the flame begins to lick at the dry bark. The crackle of burning wood, the wind outside the crack in the door, the gentle clinking of metal, the whisper of someone sewing clothes for a child, the needle piercing the fabric, a soft rustle. No one called it ASMR, but they still listened, and they still slept, deeply and peacefully. The medieval people didn't have the word relaxation as we define it today. They didn't need weekend retreats, no spring mattresses. But in their world, filled with darkness, fragility, and scarcity, there were moments when the mind was lulled to sleep by regularity itself. The woman grinding grain in the morning, the sound of the millstone turning, creating a soothing rhythm. The blacksmith gently tapping on an iron bar, not to shape it, but to test its elasticity, each ding, ding, echoing in the stone courtyard. The shepherd singing softly while watching sheep, not for entertainment, but to stay awake in the cold wind. That voice, monotonous, vague, seemed not to be directed at anyone, but resonated across the pasture. These sounds, seemingly unnoticed, were the soundtracks of medieval life, and they acted as ASMR before the world knew the name. Are you tired yet? If so, let me continue to tell you about a woman in a monastery drying herbs in a bamboo basket, about an old man grooming his horse in the late afternoon, each stroke, each whinny, each gentle pat on the animal's back, about children sitting by the fire listening to stories, where the storyteller didn't need to shout, just needed to speak slowly enough, steadily enough, gently enough. That's when you begin to see something. ASMR doesn't just exist in modernity. It has always existed, in different forms, in moments when humans listen to repetition, gentleness, safety. Medieval people didn't know the term meridian response, but they knew. When someone whispered a prayer in the quiet evening, the mind would feel lighter. When someone wiped the dining table clean with a damp linen cloth, the scent of herbs would seep into dreams. When the church bells rang regularly every hour, people would stop fearing the night's length. And now I invite you back on that journey. I won't let you hear brushing, tapping, or whispering sounds like in typical ASMR videos. Instead, I will tell about people who didn't know they were relaxing but still lived every moment to the fullest. I will take you into stone houses, damp pastures, small weaving workshops where candlelight flickers, reflecting on the unfinished tapestry. Breathe slowly. Sit still. No need to look at anything, because every image, every sound will now come through narration. A narration of the Middle Ages where ASMR was not a tool, but a part of life. Are you ready?
Imagine you are standing in front of a small wooden house, nestled deep in the ancient forest. The surrounding space is silent, with only the soft rustle of dry leaves as the wind sweeps through. It is an early winter morning. Mist hangs low and ethereal, clinging gently to each gnarled branch, transforming the forest into a melancholic yet enchanting ink-wash painting. The faint morning light struggles to penetrate the thick fog, then filters through the house's small window, creating blurry, dreamlike streaks of light in the air. You can hear the soft whisper of the wind through the wooden cracks, like a murmur of nature, gently seeping into every corner of the house. Stepping inside, you will immediately feel the distinct aroma of old pine wood, a rustic, warm, and earthy scent, mingled with the lingering smell of hearth ash from the night before, and the faint aroma of dry wool. This scent is not overwhelming or unpleasant, but rather gentle, embracing you, creating an unusually cozy and peaceful feeling. The space inside is not vast, but it is warm enough, private enough for a man to live and work. Everything seems to be steeped in an absolute stillness, with only the small sounds of daily life, like the slow, gentle turning of a time machine. And in that space, you will see a man. He is past 50, his hair flecked with gray, but his eyes still possess a keen and calm gaze. He lives alone, surrounded by the embrace of the forest and the solitude of traditional craftsmanship. He is a weaver, an artisan of handmade rugs, one who has spent his entire life connected to yarn, to the large loom placed right in the center of his home. His posture is still firm, sturdy, his broad shoulders calloused over the years from the pulls and turns of the loom. But his hands are remarkably gentle, agile, seemingly familiar with every strand of yarn since childhood. Each time he touches the yarn, you can feel his meticulousness, his care, as if he is conversing with them, breathing life into every fiber. He is not in a hurry. His every movement is slow, purposeful, reflecting the tranquil pace of a world not yet overwhelmed by industry and speed. The faint light from the window streams in, illuminating the colorful strands of yarn, making them shimmer like small rivers flowing on the loom. The loom, a crude but magnificent machine, stands majestically in the room, like a close friend, witnessing countless winters pass, countless rugs completed alongside him. He does not just weave yarn, he weaves stories, he weaves memories, he weaves dreams into every stitch, every thread. And then you will listen. Listen to the sounds emanating from the loom. Each of its movements has its own rhythm, steady and slow. The soft creak of the wood as he manipulates the shuttle, the rustle of the yarn as it is stretched taut, interwoven. These sounds are not jarring or unpleasant. On the contrary, they blend together, forming a symphony of stillness. The crackle and pop of the hearth, where logs are burning slowly, occasionally let out a gentle snap. The smell of wood smoke drifts, carrying warmth throughout the room, chasing away the chill of the early winter. These sounds repeat consistently, like an instrumental piece, without climax, without sudden notes. They soothe the mind, bringing the listener into an unusually relaxed state. Without having to strain to hear, you can still perceive every tiny sound, the yarn rubbing against itself, the shuttle gliding, the faint movement of his feet on the straw-covered floor. All these sounds are not just noises. They are the rhythm of life, the breath of a world slowly passing by. They are the most primal form of ASMR, requiring no technology or arrangement, but arising naturally from daily work. You can close your eyes and let these sounds guide your mind, drifting gently, peacefully. As his hands deftly weave each thread, his mind wanders back to memories, not sad memories, but just quiet images, like colorful threads being woven into the fabric of his life. He remembers his late wife from many years ago, the early days when they built this wooden house together, weaving their first rugs together. Her laughter, the sound of their two looms harmonizing, creating a warm melody in those past winters. Now only the sound of his own loom remains, yet her laughter and warmth still seem to linger somewhere in the air. He also remembers his only son, now serving in the army far away. He wonders if the child still remembers the smell of pine wood, dry wool, and the steady rhythm of his father's loom. He does not feel lonely or sad when these memories surface. They are simply pieces of his life, rearranged naturally in his mind, just as he arranges each thread on the loom. There is no regret or drama, just a calm acceptance, a quiet contemplation of what has passed. Each weave brings with it an image, a memory, drifting like a thin wisp of smoke from the hearth, dissolving into space, yet leaving a lingering warmth. This is his own form of meditation, a way for his mind to rest, to delve into the deepest corners of memory without being distracted by the noise of the outside world. The steady beat of the loom is like a heartbeat. The wind whistling through the cracks is like a breath, all creating a unique space where time seems to stand still. In that small wooden house, amidst the ancient forest and the cold winter, the old weaver finds peace in his simple, repetitive daily tasks. He does not need luxuries. He does not need grand adventures. Only the yarn, the loom, and the familiar sounds for his soul to relax, to immerse itself in its own tranquility. You can feel the warmth from the hearth, the faint scent of burning wood. You can envision the old man's calloused but skilled hands deftly moving the shuttle, each strand of yarn weaving together rhythmically. There is no haste, no worry, only absolute concentration on each stitch, each needle, each thread. And it is this concentration, this steady repetition, that creates a continuous flow of sound and emotion, drawing the listener into a state of deep relaxation. Imagine you are sitting next to the old man, listening to the creaking of the loom. The sound of the yarn rubbing against itself creates a gentle rustle, like dry leaves dancing in the wind. The hearth crackles and pops, occasionally with a small explosion as a log fully ignites. All these sounds are not just noises. They are the whispers of an ancient world, a world where silence was a part of life, not something to be sought after or created. The old man does not speak. He only weaves, and in that silence everything is told. The story of his life, the story of his loved ones, the story of the rugs that have taken shape under his hands. Each stitch is like a word, a character in the book of his life. The rug gradually emerges with simple but meaningful patterns, carrying the warmth of wood, of fire, and of love. You can feel the lingering scent of wood smoke in the air, a familiar aroma of medieval homes. The scent of earth, of wood, of wool, all blending together to create a distinctive atmosphere found nowhere else. This is not a perfect world, without modern conveniences, but within its simplicity there lies a rustic beauty, a peace that we often miss in our hurried modern lives. And as you listen, you will feel your mind gradually lighten. All worries,
All stresses of the outside world seem to dissipate. Only the steady sounds of the loom remain, the warmth from the hearth and the scent of wood and wool. This is an invitation to sink into a restful sleep, a sleep undisturbed by the clamor of modern life. As the sun slowly sets, the last faint rays of light slip through the window, stretching across the floor. The rug on the loom is almost complete. The final threads are carefully woven together, creating a perfect border for the artwork. The old weaver is not rushed. He finishes his work with all the meticulousness and love for his craft. He folds up the remaining yarn, puts away the shuttle, and gently sweeps the floor. The soft rustle of the bamboo broom on the dry straw floor creates a soothing sound, like the whisper of the approaching night. Then he rekindles the fire in the hearth, adding a few dry logs to keep the room warm throughout the long night. The crackle of burning wood begins again, small sparks dancing in the darkness, creating a ballet of light and shadow. Before going to bed, he slowly walks to the loom, placing his calloused hands on the newly finished rug. He feels each stitch, each fiber, as if they are a familiar breath, a part of his very life. The rug is not just an object, it is a story, a piece of memory, the embodiment of a life of honest labor. The warmth of the rug, the scent of dry wool, all bring him a sense of satisfaction, a deep and profound peace. He doesn't need electric lights. He doesn't need soft pillows. Only his simple blanket and the familiar sounds of the wooden house, the loom, the hearth. The wind still whispers softly outside. The logs still burn slowly in the fireplace, and the old man's breathing becomes more regular as he drifts off to sleep. The sleep of a man who has worked all day, a peaceful, deep, and dreamless sleep. And that is when you, too, can fall asleep. The loom has stopped, but the sounds of life continue to echo in your mind. The scent of pine wood, hearth ash, and dry wool still linger. The warmth of the hearth still radiates. Let these sensations lead you into a deep sleep, where you can dream of golden wheat fields, ancient stone castles, and the untold stories of the Middle Ages. Allow your mind to gently drift to a small village, nestled amidst the rolling hills of the north on a cold winter night. Snow has blanketed every rooftop, transforming the village into a painting rendered in white ink, strangely serene and peaceful. Thin plumes of smoke, like the breath of the sleeping houses, lazily drift up from chimneys, then vanish into the thick darkness of the night. The shadows engulf every pathway, swallowing the familiar dirt roads, leaving only the blurred outlines of bare trees and old stone fences. The entire village sinks into a deep slumber, a long and silent sleep, no sound able to break that stillness. Only one place, a small kitchen, remains brightly lit by fire, like a lone but warm beacon in the vast, desolate night. It is the only place still alive, still breathing, still rhythmic on that freezing winter night. Stepping into that kitchen, You will immediately feel a gentle warmth embracing you, chasing away the biting cold outside. The firelight from the oven casts dancing reflections on the rough stone walls, creating mesmerizing, vibrant shadows. And in that flickering light you will see a woman. She is an old woman, around 70 years old, her back slightly stooped with the years, yet she exudes an air of diligence and gentleness. Her hands are calloused, marked by years of labor, yet every movement reveals a surprising dexterity and familiarity. She wears a thick, dark brown wool apron, worn but still warm, protecting the coarse linen dress underneath. Her white hair is neatly tied back, a few wisps falling across her forehead, reflecting the flickering firelight. She is preparing flour. The sound of flour pouring from the cloth bag into the wooden trough is dry and rustling, yet oddly pleasant. She doesn't use scales or measurements as we do today. Everything is measured by feel, by the experience accumulated over decades. A handful of flour, a little warm water. Her calloused hands begin to knead the dough. The dough squishes and sticks together, then gradually becomes soft and pliable. You can hear the sound of flesh meeting dough, the sound of fingers pressing down, smoothing, kneading. The faint sweet scent of flour mixed with a hint of yeasty fermentation spreads through the air. Next, she takes out precious spices reserved for special occasions during the winter nights. Golden, fragrant wild honey, small cardamom pods containing a warm, pungent flavor, and a touch of cinnamon, a luxurious spice carrying the breath of the mysterious East. She uses an old wooden spoon to stir these ingredients evenly in a chipped ceramic bowl. The spoon gently scrapes against the side of the bowl, a steady, rhythmic clatter. Every one of her movements is slow, unhurried, as if she is savoring each moment of the baking process rather than simply completing a task. She bakes while the whole house is asleep. Her husband, her children, and especially her young grandchildren are all deep in their dreams. She bakes these cakes so that tomorrow morning, when the first light peeks through the window, they will wake up and enjoy the sweet, warm taste of the love she has poured into each cake. Perhaps for her, this is not just baking. It is a sacred ritual, a silent blessing sent to her loved ones. And then you will listen to the most characteristic sounds of this kitchen, the music of the fire. The fire crackles in the oven, sputtering rhythmically as the dry logs are consumed by the flames. This sound is not loud, but soft and steady, like the gentle breathing of a giant creature asleep. The red glow of the fire reflects on the old woman's face, turning the wrinkles of time into warm streaks of light. Her face is gentle, serene, and radiates an unusual tranquility in that flickering light. You can see her eyes half closed, not from sleepiness, but from being immersed in the peacefulness these sounds bring. The kneading of the dough continues, squishing together, then separating. The wooden spoon still clatters in the ceramic bowl, neither fast nor slow. All these sounds blend together, creating a steady, relaxing rhythm, like a familiar, wordless song. This is the music of diligence, of love, and of existence. They don't need complex melodies. They don't need elaborate lyrics. They are simply raw, natural sounds, yet they possess a miraculous power to soothe the soul. In that warm kitchen there is only the old woman and the sounds of fire, of dough. She tells stories to herself, stories of a life lived. She remembers her youth, bountiful harvests, and bustling market days filled with laughter. She also remembers the years of war, the harsh winters with food shortages, and the loved ones who are no longer with her. These memories do not make her sad or miserable. They are simply a part of life, accepted and cherished by her. Each time she places dough onto a baking tray, a memory resurfaces. The first cake might be named after her late husband, round and full like the love he gave her. The second cake could be named after her eldest son, now in a distant land, with strong, decisive lines. And the smaller, prettier cakes are for her beloved grandchildren, each cake bearing a child's name with playful, charming shapes. Each cake is not just food, it is a message, a whispered word of love and longing. She does not speak aloud, but in her mind the stories flow continuously, gently and ceaselessly. The fire still crackles, the dough still squishes, like musical notes accompanying her wordless tale. She doesn't need anyone to listen. Only those sounds and those memories are enough to fill the small kitchen, enough to soothe her soul. This is a form of ASMR that medieval people did not know by name, yet they felt it in the most instinctive way. The warmth from the oven gradually envelops the space. The scent of baked goods begins to waft through the air, mingling with the aromas of honey, cinnamon, and cardamom, creating a sweet, gentle fragrance that permeates every corner of the room. This scent not only awakens the sense of smell, but also evokes childhood memories of her baked goods, of waking up to the fragrant aroma from the kitchen. This is the scent of abundance, of family affection, a scent that can soothe all worries, all fatigue. The old woman's eyes are now completely closed. She is no longer kneading dough. The cakes are neatly arranged on wooden trays, ready for a fresh morning. She sits down on an old, sturdy oak rocking chair, placed right next to the oven. The gentle creak of the wooden chair with each rock of her body blends with the dying fire in the oven. The flickering firelight has now softened, becoming just warm embers, occasionally with a small pop of wood, like a final sigh of the day. In the quiet of the winter night, the crackling fire remains the dominant sound, steady and slow. The old woman dozes off in the rocking chair, her head gently tilted back, her face showing an unusual serenity. She is lulled to sleep by the very fire she kindled, by the familiar sounds of the kitchen, and by the sweet memories of a meaningful life. Her sleep is undisturbed by the noises of the modern world, not distracted by bright lights. There is only the darkness, the warmth of the oven, and the gentle sounds of daily life. You can feel the stillness enveloping the room. Only the steady crackle of the fire remains, like an ancient clock ticking away time. The scent of baked goods still lingers, a promise of a sweet morning. Let these sounds and scents guide you to sleep. Let your mind relax, rest completely, just as the old woman found peace by her oven. In your deep sleep, you might find yourself in the snow-white village, hearing the smoke rise from the chimneys and feeling the warmth from the sleeping houses. You might dream of fragrant honey cakes, of a grandmother's love, and of a world where simplicity brings happiness and peace. This is the sleep of return, a return to what is most primal and authentic. You don't need to try to sleep. Just listen. Listen to the crackling fire. Listen to the winter night. Listen to your own breath. All worries will gradually fade, giving way to a feeling of lightness and tranquility. The night is deep, and everything is falling asleep. You too.
Allow your mind to gently drift to an ancient monastery, nestled amidst majestic mountains on a late autumn afternoon. The air here carries an unusual tranquility, as if time has stood still for centuries. The pale golden rays of the late-day sun stretch across the moss-covered stone walls of the monastery, painting soft streaks of light on the rough, aged stone. Behind the monastery, hidden from curious eyes, lies a secluded herb garden. Here, the plant beds are neatly arranged, each herb displaying a different shade of green interspersed with tiny blossoms, creating a vibrant tapestry of flora amidst the silent space. The air in the garden is gentle, cool, and carries an enchanting aroma. It is a blend of damp earth after a night's rain, the faint scent of lavender, and the cool, refreshing smell of mint. Every breath you take seems to carry the purity of nature, the peace of a sacred place. Birds chirp softly somewhere in the foliage, not loudly, but like a gentle background melody, quietly telling stories of the fading day. Sometimes a gentle breeze glides through, causing the leaves to rustle softly, creating a whispered sound, like the wind speaking to the plants. All of this forms a scene where, simply by closing your eyes, you can feel the serenity and peace enveloping you. And in that garden, you will see a nun. She is an elderly nun, small in stature, but her steps are slow and steady on the gravel path. Her gray habit is worn, but it exudes dignity and grace. Her hands are thin and gnarled, yet incredibly skillful and gentle as she tends to each bed of plants. She moves through the herb beds softly, carefully, as if afraid to disturb their peace. Every one of her actions is slow, purposeful, reflecting the stillness of her soul. She doesn't just tend to these plants with her hands, but with her entire being. For her, each fragrant sprig of rosemary, each rustic sage leaf, or each vibrant oregano branch is not merely a plant. They are vivid memories, pieces of her life, cherished and preserved. She strokes each leaf, inspects each blossom, sometimes softly murmuring something that no one else hears. Under her hands, the garden seems to come alive. Each bed of plants has its own order, its own rhythm, and all harmonize into an absolute peace. She begins to prepare her afternoon tea. She walks along the rows of plants, her keen eyes scanning each herb branch. She doesn't pick hastily, but carefully, meticulously selecting each fresh leaf, each unopened bud. The leaves rustle softly as she plucks them, the dried twigs gently snapping under her fingers. Tiny sounds, almost inaudible, but incredibly soothing. The strong scent of rosemary, the cool freshness of mint, the gentle aroma of lavender spread with her every movement, embracing you, drawing you into a world of scent and taste. She gathers the picked herbs into an old wicker basket, the basket softly rustling against her habit. After collecting enough, she returns to the small shed in a corner of the garden. Inside the shed there is a small, simple, wood-burning stove, always warm. She takes out an aged earthenware kettle, placing it on the stove. The dry wood she places into the stove crackles softly, the fire catching the wood and then purring with a gentle crackle. You can hear the gentle rush of water from an earthenware jug as she fills the kettle. Then comes the silent waiting. The water in the kettle slowly warms, beginning to simmer gently, creating a soft, soothing hum. Then the steam escapes from the spout, like a sigh of serenity. When the water is hot enough, she gently lifts the kettle from the stove. She drops each selected herb branch into the kettle. The dry herb leaves falling into the hot water make a soft, faint rustling sound, like the whisper of essences being released. The aroma of herbal tea immediately rises, more intense, more fragrant, spreading throughout the small shed, then carried by the gentle breeze out into the garden. All these sounds, the soft crackle of burning wood, the gentle hum of boiling water, the soft rustle of herbs falling into the kettle, all blend together, forming a gentle melody of tranquility, a melody without words, without complex tunes, yet possessing a miraculous power to soothe the soul.
After brewing the tea, she carries the kettle and a dark earthenware cup, stepping out into the garden. She sits down on an old stone bench, placed under a bare grape arbor, with only dry, gnarled branches remaining. The late autumn afternoon sun is weaker now, but still enough to warm the surrounding space. She pours tea into the cup. The warm tea water flows from the kettle, touching the side of the cup with a gentle, steady gurgle. Steam rises from the teacup, carrying a captivating aroma, permeating every olfactory cell. She lifts the teacup, taking a small sip. No words are spoken, only her gaze wanders distantly towards the misty mountains where the sun is slowly disappearing. Sometimes a gentle smile plays on her lips, as if she is savoring something very private, very peaceful. In that quiet moment, her mind drifts to memories. She remembers her deceased mother and those afternoon teas of her youth when her mother would brew such fragrant herbal teas. The sound of her mother telling stories, the sound of her own laughter with friends, all reappear as clear as yesterday. She remembers the abundant harvests of the monastery, the baskets overflowing with wheat, the healthy green vegetable beds. She remembers the young monks with their radiant faces and innocent questions about life. Each sip of tea is like a door opening to a memory, an image, an emotion. All these memories do not cause agitation or sadness. They are simply gentle currents in her mind, like cool water flowing through dry fields, nourishing her soul. The bird still chirps somewhere, the wind still whispers through the leaves, and in that space she feels she is a part of everything, blending into the slow, steady rhythm of the universe. As she sits there, the wind begins to blow through the dry leaves on the grape arbor, creating a gentle rustling sound, like someone softly walking by. Dry leaves flutter in the air, then gently settle on the ground, creating tiny, almost inaudible sounds. The sun sets behind the monastery wall, carrying away its last rays, giving way to the approaching night. The space gradually sinks into darkness, with only the faint light from the monastery's small windows and the weak light remaining in the western sky. She gently closes her eyes. Her hands still hold the warm teacup, feeling the warmth spread from her palms. Her breathing slows, becoming steady and deep. Everything around her also seems to settle down, sinking into absolute stillness. No lullaby is needed, no music, only the very natural sounds of the late afternoon, of the garden, and of her own breath lull her into a state of deep relaxation. This is when all worries vanish, all thoughts cease, leaving only the pure presence of the current moment. You can feel the tranquility enveloping the space. The scent of damp earth, lavender, and mint still lingers in the air. The warmth from the teacup still radiates. Let these sensations guide you to sleep. Let your mind rest, drift away in the peace of the ancient monastery, where time stands still, and the sounds of nature are the most wonderful lullaby.
Allow your mind to gently drift to a small village nestled deep in a valley on a soft late autumn afternoon. The sky is transforming, painting itself with the pale yellow of dusk, then gradually blending into shades of orange and purple, like a giant oil painting slowly revealing itself. The surrounding hills have donned the reddish-brown hues of shedding trees, creating a somber yet captivating landscape. The autumn wind is crisp, caressing the thatched roofs, carrying the scent of dry earth, decaying leaves, and a hint of sweetness from the harvested fields. Smoke from small chimneys drifts languidly, merging with the air, like the breath of a village slowly sinking into slumber. And in that village there is a small room in the attic of an old wooden house. The room is not large, but it has a small window opening to the west, looking directly out at distant fields and hills. At this hour, the gentle sunset light streams through the window, flooding the room, bathing everything in a golden glow. The autumn wind gently blows through the open window, carrying with it a cool chill and faint scents. The smell of old wood from the floor and walls intertwines with the lingering scent of wildflowers somewhere in the garden, and the distant cries of birds at the end of the day, like their final farewells before night descends. Every sound is very soft, like the whispers of a world slowly closing out its day. In the golden light of dusk, you will see a girl. She's about 17 years old, sitting by the window. She wears a simple but clean, earth-toned linen dress, reflecting the afternoon light. Her long, lustrous chestnut hair flows naturally over her slender shoulders. Her eyes are quiet, deep, holding no rush or worry, but only an unusual serenity. Every afternoon, as the sun begins to turn golden, she makes it a habit to sit by this window. It is her private moment, a peaceful ritual undisturbed by anyone. In her hand is an old wooden comb, worn smooth by time, passed down to her by her mother when she was a child. The comb carries the warm, familiar scent of wood and the warmth from her mother's hand. She begins to comb her hair. Her long hair is divided into small sections, and she slowly draws the wooden comb through each strand. Each stroke creates a faint sound, the soft rustle of hair sliding through the comb's teeth, the almost inaudible sound of a few strands gently falling onto her linen skirt. Her hand moves slowly, rhythmically, without any haste. Her movements seem to have become part of nature, blending into the rhythm of the fading dusk. The autumn wind gently weaves through the open window, caressing her hair, making individual strands float lightly in the lingering afternoon light. That soft golden light reflects on each strand of hair, making them appear softer and more lustrous than ever. The sound of the comb, the caress of the wind, and the rustle of leaves outside blend together, creating a natural, soothing ASMR melody. There is no loud music, no words, only the most authentic sounds of life, repeating steadily, soothing the soul and leading the listener into a state of deep relaxation. In the silence of the fading day, with only the steady sound of the comb echoing, the girl is immersed in her thoughts. She remembers her mother's words from long ago. Each time you comb your hair, you gather your thoughts, your worries. And indeed, each stroke of the comb seems to carry away a part of the burden, a part of the anxiety, leaving behind a tranquil and peaceful soul. She remembers her older brother who left the village to seek a life far away. She wonders what he is doing now, if he still remembers this small house or his sister's long hair. She remembers the gold and wheat fields at harvest time and the days when she and her brother ran and played in the fields, their laughter echoing in the wind. These memories do not make her sad, but only bring a gentle sense of nostalgia, like the last rays of sunlight stretching across the old wooden wall. They are pieces of life, naturally rearranged in her mind like perfectly smoothed strands of hair. She also thinks of unspoken whispers, her own dreams and desires, of a simple, peaceful life, of staying in this village, tending the small garden, and living near her loved ones. These thoughts are not loud, not dramatic, but only like gentle breezes passing through her mind, then dissolving into the air. This is a moment for her to be herself, to quietly listen to the deepest parts of her soul.
The sound of the comb continues steadily, like a bridge connecting her to the past, to the present, and to the future. Each straight hair, each untangled knot, seems to be a release of burdens from her heart. The sensation of hair gliding through the comb, soft and smooth, brings an indescribable comfort. The scent of her hair, mingled with the scent of the wooden comb, creates a distinctive aroma that only she can perceive. The light outside the window gradually shifts from yellow to purple, then to the deep blue of night. Darkness creeps into the room, covering every object, transforming them into blurred forms. When the last ray of sunlight finally fades, the girl puts down the wooden comb, placing it gently on the windowsill. She softly strokes her hair one last time, feeling its softness and smoothness. Another day has passed, and everything has settled down. She stands up, gently closing the window. The wooden window creaks softly, then shuts with a gentle thud. The small attic room immediately becomes absolutely silent, with only the lingering warmth from the afternoon sun and the smell of old wood. She walks to her simple bed, covered with a coarse linen blanket. She reaches for the flickering candle on the small table beside the bed, then gently blows it out. The flickering flame slowly diminishes, then disappears into the darkness, leaving a thin wisp of smoke and a faint scent of beeswax. The room is now completely dark, with only the stillness and the girl's steady breathing. A peaceful night begins in silence, no sound able to break it. The girl lies down on the bed, closing her eyes. The gentle whisper of the night wind through the window crack, the distant rustle of leaves, and the rhythm of her own breath all blend together, lulling her into a deep sleep. Let these sounds guide you to sleep. The sound of the comb, the whisper of the wind, the rustle of leaves, and the stillness of the night. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping your mind to rest and relax completely. Drift away with your dreams, where you can feel the peace of a girl combing her hair by the window at dusk.
Allow your mind to gently drift to an ancient monastery, nestled deep within the rocky hills, where time seems to have stood still for centuries. The thick, imposing stone walls, dark with moss, create a feeling both majestic and tranquil. The high, arching ceiling, curving like a miniature sky within, forms a vast yet profoundly solemn space. The light in the monastery is dim, soft, just enough to illuminate the pathways and objects. It is light filtered through stained glass windows, bathing the space in shimmering, ethereal hues, sometimes deep blue, sometimes crimson, sometimes golden. And within that monastery, there is a library of cold stone, where the air always carries a distinctive scent of old paper, dry ink, and dark wood. Soaring bookshelves, made of precious wood aged by time, are filled with thick, leather-bound tomes, carefully walled parchment scrolls, and stacks of old yellowed paper. Everything is arranged in an orderly, solemn manner, as if each book holds a soul, a story waiting to be awakened. In that sacred space, there is no loud sound, only the soft whisper of the wind outside the thick stone walls, like a murmur of nature trying to seep inside. Occasionally, a gentle turning of a page echoes, dry yet surprisingly soothing, like the faint breath of time itself, or the invisible flutter of a nocturnal bird. Everything is immersed in an absolute stillness, a stillness you can feel with your entire being. And in that silent library, you will see a person. It is a young monk, or perhaps a scribe, sitting at a large wooden desk beside a narrow window. His demeanor is quiet, exuding patience and deep concentration. He wears a long, dark brown habit of coarse fabric, covering most of his body. His hands wear thin gloves which help protect the precious scrolls and keep his hands warm in the cold stone library. Light from the narrow window falls obliquely over his shoulder, highlighting each dark brown strand of hair on his head, and especially each meticulous stroke he is writing. His face is serene, his eyes focused on every brushstroke, as if his entire existence is contained in this sacred act of copying. He begins his work, and then you will listen to the sounds of concentration, the sounds that create a symphony of stillness. The soft brush of the quill tip against parchment, gentle and steady, creating a faint rustling sound like insects fluttering in the night. Each time the quill lifts, then descends, there is a distinct rhythm, neither fast nor slow, reflecting the scribe's meticulousness and care. The ink drips from the wooden well, drop by drop, like the gentle patter of rain on a tiled roof. Occasionally, as he leans to adjust his posture, the old wooden chair gives a faint, almost inaudible creak. These sounds are not jarring or distracting. On the contrary, they blend together, forming a continuous flow of peace. Each line he writes seems like a breath, a moment extending the library's silence. You can close your eyes and imagine each brushstroke being created on the page, each drop of ink seeping into the parchment. This is the purest form of ASMR, born from intense concentration and the steady repetition of an ancient craft. In the encompassing silence, with only the soft rustle of the quill on paper, the monk is immersed in his thoughts. He contemplates what he is transcribing. It could be ancient words from Greek philosophical works, sacred prayers from the Bible, or profound philosophies of life from saints. Each phrase carries its own meaning, its own weight, and he not only copies, but also absorbs them. He wonders, will those who come after, future generations, when they read these lines, understand their profound meaning? Will they feel the silence, the sacredness hidden within each word he is carefully recording? Will they hear the heartbeats of those who wrote them, and also his own, he who dedicates his life to preserving and transmitting this knowledge? These questions do not create anxiety or restlessness. They are merely gentle waves of thought, rippling through his mind, then dissolving into the quiet air. A thought, not loud, not dramatic, just a delicate wisp of smoke drifting across his contemplation. He thinks of the impermanence of life, of the enduring nature of knowledge. People may come and go, but words, prayers, philosophies will remain. And he, the scribe, is a small but important part of that great flow. He does not feel like a creator, but only a preserver, a transmitter. You can imagine the faint light from the narrow window illuminating a portion of the page. The scent of old paper, ink, and leather from the surrounding books blend together, creating a distinctive library aroma. This is the scent of knowledge, of history, of stillness. Breathe deeply and let that scent seep into your mind, bringing peace and an ancient feeling. The quill's sound remains steady, stroke by stroke. His eyes do not leave the page. His movements are almost unchanged. This repetition, this concentration, creates a gentle flow of energy, helping the mind to relax, to sink deep into contemplation. He does not feel tired, despite sitting for hours. This scribal work is not just labor, it is also a form of meditation, a way to connect with something higher, more sacred. And then, as the day wanes, the light outside the window also fades. The ink in the wooden well also runs low, with just a little remaining at the bottom. His hand begins to tremble slightly, not from fatigue, but from the prolonged, intense concentration. The final line is completed. He sets down the quill, its tip making a faint sound as it touches the wooden desk, like a period ending a day of diligent work. He bows his head, gently blowing to completely dry the ink on the last page. His breath is warm, softly brushing across the paper. Then he closes the book, slowly, carefully, as if closing a living being, a precious story. The old leather cover creaks softly as it shuts, creating a deep, resonant sound in the silent space. The last light from the stained glass window also gradually fades, disappearing completely into the darkness of night. The library now sinks into absolute stillness. Only the scent of old paper, ink, and the presence of sleeping books on the shelves remain. The scribe rises, walking gently, his footsteps faint on the cold stone floor, then vanishing into the darkness. He leaves behind a world sleeping in letters, a world where silence and knowledge intertwine, creating a sacred and peaceful space. And in that space, you too can fall asleep. Let the sound of the quill, the turning of pages, and the stillness of the ancient library carry you into a deep dream, where you are one with the flow of history and knowledge.
Allow your mind to gently drift to an ancient forest on a clear summer midday. This is not the scorching heat of a lowland summer, but the cool, fresh air of the mountains and forests, where the sunlight becomes gentler as it filters through the tall canopy of trees. Golden streaks of light, like small dancing flames, dot the ground covered with dry leaves, creating a magical, dappled tapestry of light and shadow. The air in the forest carries a distinctive scent, a blend of fresh sap from freshly cut wood, damp green moss clinging to rocks and decaying wood, and the earthy smell of decomposed forest soil. Every breath you take carries the purity and coolness of the ancient forest. In that space, the sounds also become gentler and more ethereal. Birds chirp softly somewhere in the foliage, not loudly, but like cheerful, free notes of music. The wind rustles through the dry branches, creating a steady, whispering sound, like a ceaseless murmur of the forest. In the distance, cicadas hum, not harshly, but like a soft, continuous background drone, further enhancing the stillness of the summer midday. All these sounds are not distracting. On the contrary, they form a natural symphony, soothing the soul and bringing the listener into an unusually relaxed state. And in that peaceful scene, you will see a man. He is a woodcutter, middle-aged, with a faded, worn shirt, carefully patched. His hands are rough and calloused, bearing the marks of countless days wielding an axe and carrying heavy logs. His shining, sharp axe is neatly slung over his back, as if an inseparable part of him. He has just finished felling a few large logs, placing them neatly under the canopy of an ancient tree where the sun's rays cannot penetrate. After his work, he is not rushed. He slowly takes off his worn wooden clogs, setting them aside, allowing his bare feet to relax on the cool, dry leaves. He finds a large, ancient tree stump, its trunk covered in soft green moss, and gently leans back against it. His head rests on his sinewy arm, his eyes half closed, feeling the coolness of the tree trunk on his back and the dampness of the green moss. From his demeanor, you can tell he is familiar with this moment of rest, a peaceful ritual in the heart of the ancient forest. As he closes his eyes, the sounds of nature become clearer and more vibrant than ever before. The rustle of leaves as a gentle breeze passes through, like whispers of the trees. The wind weaves through the foliage, creating soft, continuous murmuring sounds, sometimes a little stronger, causing a whole patch of leaves to sway, creating a louder rustle, then quieting down again. Insects flutter their wings close to his ear, a faint, tiny buzzing, like miniature creatures busy with their own work. Perhaps it's a bee searching for nectar, or some kind of beetle finding its way. In the distance, you can hear the sound of a flowing stream, a steady, indistinct sound, like an eternal background melody of the forest. The sound of water hitting rocks, the sound of water rushing over uneven sections, creates a ceaseless rhythm, carrying coolness and freshness. Occasionally, a small, nimble sparrow swoops close to the woodcutter, hopping around him boldly, as if long acquainted. Its chirping, the gentle flap of its wings as it flies up and lands, are all soothing sounds, causing not the slightest distraction. In a state of half-sleep, half-wakefulness, the woodcutter lets his thoughts drift slowly, blending with the rhythm of the forest. He remembers this morning when he left the village, the faint crowing of roosters announcing dawn. He remembers the fragrant smell of his wife's bread left ready on the table, a small but loving gesture.
He envisions his wife's gentle face as she saw him off at the door, and the innocent smiles of his sleeping children. He also remembers his father, a woodcutter like him. He remembers the stories his father told when they sat and rested at noon in the forest on moss-covered tree stumps just like this one. The sound of his father's gentle cough, the old man's discomfort with the calluses on his hands, and the simple yet meaningful advice about living in harmony with nature. These memories do not bring sadness, but only a warm, peaceful feeling, an invisible thread connecting him to the generations before him. He has no plans for the afternoon, no deadlines, no urgent tasks, just to let his mind drift freely with the sounds of the forest, the rustle of leaves, the hum of cicadas, the flow of the stream, all blend together, creating a vibrant yet profoundly relaxing soundscape. He doesn't need a soft bed or a dark room. In the heart of the ancient forest, he finds the deepest, most peaceful sleep. His breathing is steady, blending with the breathing of the trees, of the earth and sky. You can feel the lightness and serenity of sleep gradually approaching. All worries, all tensions seem to have dissipated, giving way to absolute stillness. And then his eyes gently close completely. He has fallen asleep. The wind still blows through the canopy, rustling the leaves softly. Birds still chirp somewhere in the foliage. The stream still flows steadily. Nothing has changed. Nature continues to breathe steadily around him, like a great mother holding her child close. He takes a short nap, a refreshing sleep in the heart of the wild nature. This sleep is not only a rest for the body, but also a rest for the soul, a deep connection with the earth and sky. This is the sleep that generations of woodcutters have taken, a simple yet meaningful tradition. Let these sounds lull you to sleep. The rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, the flow of the stream, and the stillness that envelops the forest. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping your mind to rest and relax completely. Drift away with your dreams, where you can feel the peace of a woodcutter sleeping soundly in the heart of the ancient forest, enveloped by the gentle sounds of nature.
Allow your mind to gently drift to an ancient, sturdy fortress built with massive, time-darkened stones. The fortress stands majestically on a high hill, like a colossal guardian overlooking vast meadows stretching to the horizon. While the daytime might be noisy with the sounds of horses and people, as night falls, this place sinks into an astonishing stillness. The night sky is moonless, with only countless cold stars twinkling like tiny diamonds on a black velvet curtain. The only light comes from flickering torches placed along the fortress walls, casting dim orange-yellow streaks of light that dance on the stone. The night wind blows through the embrasures in the fortress walls, creating a gentle whistling sound, like the whisper of an ancient spirit. The wind carries the scent of damp earth from the moats surrounding the fortress, mingled with the aroma of dry grass from the vast meadows, creating a wild, natural fragrance. The air is cool and crisp, but clean, making all senses more acute. You can feel the vastness of the night, the steadfastness of the fortress, and the strange peace that envelops the space. And on the highest guard post of the fortress you will see a young soldier. He is a night sentinel. His watch begins at sunset and lasts until dawn. He wears a thick, dark gray wool cloak, worn but still warm enough to ward off the night's chill. A long sword is neatly belted at his hip, but he does not touch it. Night watches here are usually peaceful, without unexpected events. He stands leaning against the cold stone wall, his arms wrapped around his body for warmth, his young eyes gazing towards the inky black horizon, where only the stars keep him company. His posture is solitary, but not sad, exuding an air of contemplation and patience. In the quiet night, every sound becomes clearer, yet they do not disturb the peace. You will hear the wind whistling through the cracks in the stone, the wind seeping into the smallest crevices of the ancient fortress wall. This sound is sometimes like a gentle whisper, sometimes like a prolonged hum. Then it fades away, leaving only silence. The fire from the torch crackles and sputters steadily. Occasionally, a few tiny glowing embers gently fall onto the stone floor, creating a minuscule, almost inaudible rustling sound. In the distance you can hear the hoot of an owl, a deep, resonant sound echoing through the vast expanse of the meadow. It is the call of the night, of nocturnal creatures. Sometimes a softer sound, like a deer rustling through dry bushes, the leaves rustling very faintly. These sounds are enough for the sentinel to recognize the presence of wild nature around him, but not enough to make him afraid or anxious. On the contrary, they blend together, forming a symphony of the night, a natural, soothing ASMR melody, lulling the young soldier's soul. During the long, lonely night, when he is alone facing the darkness and the stars, the young soldier's mind begins to drift to deep thoughts. He thinks of his family in the village, a few days' journey away. He remembers his elderly mother, her gentle face and warm hands. He remembers his older sister, who once knitted him the thick wool scarf he now wears around his neck for warmth. The familiar scent of wool, the warmth of the scarf, seems to carry love from home, dispelling the night's chill. He recalls his first night watch here. He had been so afraid of the loneliness and the cold. But that night he looked up at the sky and saw the stars for the first time so brightly, so brilliantly, as if they wanted to swallow the entire space. Since then, every night watch, he feels a strange connection with the vast universe. The stars are no longer symbols of coldness, but silent companions witnessing his every moment. Gradually, his mind becomes still. Daily worries and trivial thoughts seem to vanish into the night. There is no pressure, no haste. Only his silent, steady existence, that of the fortress, the night, and the stars. He doesn't try to think, doesn't try to solve any problems. He simply feels. He simply exists in the present moment. His breathing is regular, blending with the sound of the wind, the fire, and the owl. This is a natural state of meditation where the soul is cleansed and revitalized. You can imagine the young soldier standing there, his silhouette against the stone wall under the faint light of the torch. The scent of damp earth, dry grass, and smoke from the torch mingle, creating a distinctive aroma of the night guard post. The air is cool and crisp, yet clean, helping his mind stay alert but very relaxed. The whistling wind, the crackling fire, and the distant hoot of the owl all create a perfect ASMR soundscape. They do not startle, do not distract. On the contrary, they soothe the soul, helping the listener sink deep into stillness. You can feel the peace enveloping the young soldier, and from that feel peace for yourself. And then, as the night slowly draws to a close, a deep resonant sound echoes from afar, the bell of the watch. Each slow, steady chime reverberates in the silent space of the fortress, signaling that another watch is about to end. The young soldier stirs slightly. He lifts the burning torch, walking slowly towards the stairs. His footsteps are soft on the stone floor, without a single wasted sound. At the foot of the stairs, another figure approaches. It is the soldier for the next watch. The two soldiers meet without a word. They simply nod gently at each other, a wordless exchange of understanding and responsibility. The young soldier hands the torch to his comrade. The warmth from the flame transfers to the other man's hand. The next soldier takes the torch, then ascends to the guard post, continuing his duty. The young soldier has completed his watch. He does not rush back to the barracks or his bed. He stands there for a moment longer, feeling the cool air of the approaching dawn and listening to the wind still whistling on the fortress. Night still envelops the fortress, but a pale blue color has begun to appear in the east, signaling that dawn is not far off. The fortress still stands majestic and steadfast, as it has stood for thousands of years. And the young soldier's mind, now lulled by the very stillness of the night, of the wind, of the stars, is completely relaxed and at peace. He gently turns, his footsteps steady, slowly disappearing into the shadows of the fortress pathway. He carries no noise from the outside world, no worries from the daytime. He carries the stillness of the night, the peace he found during his lonely hours at the guard post. His sleep will be deep and dreamless, for his mind has been cleansed by the gentlest sounds of nature. Let the sounds of this night at the guard post lull you to sleep. The wind whistling through the stone cracks, the crackling fire, and the distant hoot of the owl, all are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping your mind to rest and relax completely. Drift away with your dreams, where you are one with the peace of a sentinel in the night, enveloped by the gentle sounds of nature and the ancient fortress.
Allow your mind to gently drift to a deep valley at the ethereal moment of a late autumn morning. The sky is not yet fully bright. A faint band of gray clouds still lingers in the east, promising a gentle sunrise. Throughout the valley, a thick, mystical silver mist covers everything, transforming the vast meadows into a shimmering white silk sea. The grass and plants are still heavy with dew from the night,
sparkling like tiny crystal beads as the faint light of day begins to peek through. In the distance, round hills appear vaguely in the mist, the trees on their peaks like sleepy ghosts standing solemnly. The air is cool and damp, carrying the scent of moist earth rising from the ground, fresh grass, and a hint of wildflowers lingering from the night before. On the small, faint trail, tiny footprints are freshly imprinted on the soft ground, indicating a simple journey has just begun. Everything is immersed in absolute stillness, a stillness you can feel with every breath you take. And on that faint trail, you will see a little girl. She is about 12 years old, thin and small, but very steady in her steps. She wears a thick, dark brown linen headscarf tied tightly around her head to keep warm, and a dark wool cloak, faded with time, but still thick enough to withstand the cold of the early morning mist. Her feet are clad in old, worn boots, their soles thin, but still protecting her from the dampness of the dewy grass. In one hand she holds a small shepherd's crook, polished smooth from frequent use, and in the other she clutches a coarse cloth bag containing her simple breakfast, a few slices of dark bread and a piece of cheese. The little girl's eyes are calm, showing no hurry or worry. For her, herding sheep is not a burdensome chore, but a familiar part of life, a peaceful ritual repeated every day. This habit has been ingrained in her mind since she was very young, when she toddled along with her mother to the fields. The little girl walks steadily, neither fast nor slow, blending into the rhythm of the early morning and the gentle movement of the sheep before her. And then, in the vast expanse of the misty dawn meadow, you will hear the characteristic sounds of a quiet sunrise. The gentle clang of bells on the sheep's necks echoes in the mist, sounding like tiny wooden beads softly knocking together. Every step of the sheep, every movement they make creates a distinct jingle, forming a soft, melodious tune, like a soothing lullaby. The light wind blows through the tall grass, creating a steady rustling sound, like the whisper of 1,000 leaves. The wind's sound intermingles with the faint bleating of the sheep, the soft baying of the young lambs, blending with the crunch of the little girl's footsteps on the wet ground. All sounds seem to be softly filtered by the thick mist, becoming gentle and never harsh or abrupt. They do not cause distraction. On the contrary, they create an absolute harmony, a continuous flow of sound, soothing the soul and bringing the listener into a state of deep relaxation. In that stillness, with only the gentle clang of sheep bells and the whisper of the wind, the little girl's mind is immersed in her childhood thoughts. She remembers the song her mother used to sing while leading the sheep to the fields, a light, simple but affectionate nursery rhyme, still echoing in her head, like a wordless melody. The little girl softly hums along to the tune, word by word, though no one hears her. It is an invisible connection between the little girl and her mother, a thread of affection woven from those peaceful early mornings in the meadow. The little girl also thinks of her dream from last night, a strange but beautiful dream. In that dream, the sheep could talk.
They whispered the secrets of the meadow to her, stories of distant hills. And the dawn mist, instead of just vapor, became a long, soft, pure white shawl, covering the entire meadow, embracing the little girl and her sheep. That dream brought a feeling of lightness and magic, making the little girl smile gently in the mist. Everything flows through the little girl's mind like a whisper, not clear, not intentionally organized, but not to be forgotten either. They are pieces of a simple life, of a peaceful childhood, cherished by the little girl in the most natural way. There are no worries about the future, no regrets about the past, only the present moment, peaceful and complete. You can imagine the tiny girl standing in the vast meadow, enveloped by the silver mist and the gentle sounds of the morning. The scent of damp earth, fresh grass, and the wool from her cloak intertwine, creating a distinctive aroma of early morning. The coolness of the dawn mist caresses her skin, bringing refreshment and a feeling of being awake yet very relaxed. The sheep bells still gently clang, the wind still whispers, the sheep still faintly bleat. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping the mind to rest and relax completely. You can feel the peace enveloping the little girl, and from that feel peace for yourself. And then, when the little girl and her sheep have traveled a considerable distance, the sun begins to gradually emerge from behind the round hills. The first faint rays of sunlight penetrate the mist, making the mist dissolve into tiny droplets of light, sparkling like diamonds, clinging to each blade of grass. The meadow gradually becomes clearer with its lush green color and dew-kissed wildflowers. The sheep stop beside an ancient tree where there is shade and fresh green grass. They begin to graze slowly with soft, steady chewing sounds. The little girl also sits down by a nearby tree stump, placing her shepherd's crook to the side, and opens her cloth bag. She takes out her bread and cheese, beginning to eat her breakfast silently, peacefully. Not a single word, not a single superfluous sound. Only the soft chewing of the little girl, the chewing of the sheep, and the gentle sounds of the morning slowly becoming clearer. A new day has begun, but the little girl's soul still feels as if it is continuing to sleep, still immersed in the peace of the mist and the familiar sounds. Beneath the thin layer of mist, amidst the gentle clang of sheep bells, the little girl finds tranquility, a deep connection with nature and with herself. This is a new day's beginning that is not rushed, not noisy, but a gentle, soft beginning, like a beautiful dream still lingering. Let these sounds lull you to sleep. The gentle clang of sheep bells in the mist, the wind blowing through the grass, the soft bleating of sheep, and the vast stillness of the misty dawn meadow, all are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping your mind to rest and relax completely. Drift away with your dreams, where you are one with the peace of a little shepherdess in the misty dawn meadow, enveloped by the gentle sounds of nature and a tranquil start to a new day. Allow your mind to gently drift to the edge of a small village where the ancient forest stretches out embracing it. There, nestled beneath ancient trees, stands a small, simple yet cozy house. Its roof is thatched with golden straw, aged by time, and its walls are built from earth mixed with straw, giving it a rustic, welcoming appearance. It is late afternoon, and the light from the small window casts a warm golden glow outwards, as if the heart of the house is beating with gentle rhythms. The faint scent of herbal smoke wafts gently from the chimney, lingering in the air, intertwining with the cool crispness of the late afternoon, creating a distinctive, pleasant, and slightly mysterious aroma. In that quiet space there is only the soft rustle of wind through dry branches, the distant calls of evening birds, and occasionally the gentle whisper of falling leaves on the thatched roof. All of these create a soft background of sound, like an invitation to step into a world where stillness is the primary language. And within that warm house you will see a woman. She is an elderly woman, her posture slightly stooped, perhaps from years of bending to tend plants and heal villagers. Her hair is white, neatly tied up with a clean off-white linen headscarf. No one in the village knows her true age, but everyone knows she has healed generations, from newborns to the frail elderly. She is the village's healer, a title given to her by the villagers with complete trust and respect. Although she is not a monk living in a monastery, nor a formally trained physician, she understands every type of leaf growing in the forest, every symptom of illness, and even every faint breath of the sick. Her knowledge has been passed down from her ancestors, from practical experience accumulated over years, and from her own keen observation of nature. Her eyes are sharp, her hands calloused, yet incredibly gentle and skillful. She doesn't heal with magic, but with a deep understanding of herbs, with patience, and with unconditional dedication. Stepping inside the house, you will immediately feel an unusual stillness, where healing is nurtured by the simplest things. Earthenware jars of various sizes are neatly arranged on rustic wooden shelves, emitting the faint scent of dried herbs. Inside them are cleaned dried roots, sun-dried flowers that still retain their colors, and finely ground tree bark. Each jar is labeled with simple symbols that only she understands, and each is placed in its own specific spot, like her close companions. In the center of the house is a small, well-worn wooden table covered with a clean white linen cloth. On the table, everything is orderly arranged: a soft cloth, a small stone mortar with a smooth wooden pestle, several earthenware water pitchers, and flickering candles casting a soft glow, warming the space. And then you will listen to the sounds of the healing process. The mortar and pestle make a slow, steady thudding sound, the wooden pestle gently knocking against the stone like the peaceful beat of a heart. Each stroke of the pestle is when she grinds the dried herbs, releasing their essence. The aroma of the medicine fills the air, mingling with the scent of burning wood from the small stove in the corner of the house. Water drips from an earthenware jug into a ceramic pitcher, making tiny, faint splashing sounds like raindrops on a porch roof at night. And occasionally she will softly ask the patient a few simple questions, her voice deep and gentle, like the wind rustling through leaves. Her way of healing is not just a physical act, but an expression of gentleness and devotion. Before beginning, she carefully washes her hands with warm herb-infused water, then dries them with a soft linen cloth. The gentle sound of running water, the soft rub of the fabric on her hands are all soothing sounds, creating a solemn preparation. She places her warm, calloused hands on the patient's forehead, feeling the warmth from their ailing body. She gently closes her eyes, listening to their breathing, a wheeze, a gasp, or a shallow breath. Sometimes she rubs the patient's chest with an oil extracted from wild chamomile flowers. The gentle scent of chamomile spreads, helping to relax the body and mind. Every one of her movements is unhurried, without any worry or tension. All of it is like a familiar, ancient ritual passed down through thousands of generations, a ritual of healing and faith. You can imagine the flickering candlelight dancing on her face and the patient's. The scents of herbs, burning wood smoke, and chamomile oil blend together, creating a distinctive aroma of the healing house. The air in the room is warm and pleasant, soothing all senses. The sound of the mortar and pestle remains steady, the water still gently drips, and her whispered questions are still soft. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements, helping the mind to rest and relax completely. You can feel the peace enveloping the room and the healer's soul. The scent of herbs still lingers, a reminder of healing. Let these sensations carry you to sleep. Let your mind rest, drift away in the peace of the small house at the edge of the village, where gentleness and faith create magic and night brings recovery.
Allow your mind to drift to a small village nestled amidst rolling fields and hills. In that village, as night has fallen and all the lights from other houses have dimmed, a small wooden house still flickers with light. The house is simply built from dark timber beams with an old tiled roof aged by time. The warm, pale yellow light from a single candle inside casts out through the small window, reflecting onto the old wall outside, creating a soft glow in the silent night. It is pitch dark without a moon, only distant stars twinkling like tiny diamond dust. The night wind blows gently outside the porch, seeping through every crack in the wooden door, creating a rustling sound, like the steady breathing of the night. The air carries the cool crispness of the late evening, faintly scented with damp earth and the lingering smell of cooking smoke from dinner. Inside that small room, everything is simple. There is only a well-worn wooden chair, a fabric chest placed in the corner, and an old woman bending over a small table. And that woman is grandmother. She is old, with white hair neatly tied up with a faded white linen headscarf. Her hands are thin, yet incredibly skilled and calloused, bearing the marks of years of labor and caring for her family. Her eyes seem a little dim with age, but they are still sharp, following each stitch of the needle with regularity and precision.
The wool cloak she is wearing is also slightly worn at the elbows, but it exudes a familiar, warm comfort. Her face is gentle, the wrinkles deeply etched by years, but only enhancing her kindly appearance. All her movements are slow, patient, unhurried, as if she is blending into the rhythm of time. She is sewing clothes for her young grandchild. It is a dark brown wool garment, unfinished in her hands. She holds the small sewing needle, threading the yarn through the eye expertly, then begins to push the needle through the thick wool fabric. Each time the needle pierces the fabric, it creates a faint, soft sound, a regular swish, swish, like the whisper of the thread. The thread rustles softly as she pulls it taut. The small scissors make a light snip as she cuts the thread, decisive yet not harsh. With each stitch she sews, it seems like a breath, steady, slow, like her own clock, measuring every moment of love. The candlelight flickers, dancing on her hands, highlighting each wool fiber, each stitch, and her deep concentration. These sounds are not loud, not hurried. On the contrary, they create a symphony of peace, soothing the soul and bringing the listener into a state of deep relaxation. In the stillness of the night, when only the soft swish of the needle can be heard, grandmother's mind drifts to distant memories. She remembers the first garment she sewed for the child's mother. It was also a cold winter evening like this. She remembers her daughter's round belly when she was pregnant, remembers the eager anticipation of her grandchild's birth. She remembers her daughter's clear laughter when she was little, remembers the busy yet happy days of raising her daughter to adulthood. Each stitch seems to carry a silent blessing. May her grandchild always be warm, always protected from the coldness of life. She thinks of the stories she will tell her grandchild when they grow up, about the lush green forests, about the tiny animals, about simple life lessons. She thinks of her grandchild's giggles as they run around the house, of their clear eyes looking at her with admiration. These memories do not bring sadness, but only a warm, sweet feeling, like the flickering candle beside her. Everything flows through her mind like calm rivers, without waves, without haste. This is a moment for her to connect with the past, with the present, and with the boundless love she has for her family. She doesn't try to think, doesn't try to solve any problems. She simply feels, simply exists in the present moment. Her breathing is regular, blending with the sound of the needle, the gentle wind outside. This is a natural state of meditation where the soul is cleansed and revitalized. You can imagine the warm golden light from the candle embracing the space, the scent of new wool, the old wood of the house, and the beeswax from the candle mingle, creating a distinctive aroma of coziness and peace. The air in the room is warm and pleasant, soothing all senses. The sound of the needle continues its steady swish. The thread still rustles softly, and her breathing remains slow. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping the mind to rest and relax completely. You can feel the peace enveloping the room and the grandmother's soul. The scent of wool, Old wood and the invisible warmth of love still linger. Let these sensations carry you to sleep. Let your mind rest, drift away in the peace of the small house, in the night where love is woven from threads, and night brings soothing tranquility.
Allow your mind to gently drift to a crisp early morning beside a meandering, gentle stream flowing at the village's edge. The water is crystal clear, shimmering, reflecting the faint first light of day, like thousands of tiny diamonds dancing on the surface. The steady current creates a gentle murmur, a soothing sound that is the eternal background music of this place. The ground along the stream bank is still damp with night dew, carrying the cool crispness and fresh scent of the earth. Each small leaf on the branches sways in the early breeze, as if stirring awake after a long night. And standing out in this scene is a large wooden waterwheel, darkened by time, erected close to the stream bank. Each wooden paddle of the wheel is still wet with tiny droplets of water, sparkling like morning dew, reflecting the soft light of dawn. The water wheel stands there, sturdy and patient, awaiting a new day of work. And beside that water wheel you will see a young man. He is in his early 20s, with a strong, well-built physique, but not rough. His sleeves are rolled up, revealing strong, sinewy arms gripping the axle of the wheel. He is part of the village's small mill, where people bring wheat and barley to be ground into flour, providing sustenance for the entire community. His work is not loud, not hurried. It is a repetitive task from early morning until late afternoon, yet it brings him a strange sense of connection. He is not just operating a machine, he is in harmony with the rhythm of the stream, of the turning wheels, of the grains, and of life itself. The first light of day shines obliquely over his shoulder, highlighting the tiny beads of sweat on his forehead and the deep concentration in his eyes. And then you will listen to the distinctive sounds of the water wheel in operation, creating a harmony of labor and nature. The regular clunk, clunk of the wheel turning in the water, the rushing sound of the stream flowing over the wooden paddles, all blend together, creating a ceaseless rhythm, like the steady beat of the mill's heart. The grain pouring into the stone mill echoes steadily, not harshly, but like a silent, dry, yet very soothing clap. That is the sound of transformation, from raw grain to fine flour. The sound of the stones grinding the grain is a rustling, heavy sound, but very deep and stable. Sometimes you will hear the young man's breathing as he adjusts the lever, a deep, rhythmic breath in tune with each rotation of the wheel, reflecting his strength and concentration. These sounds are far from monotonous. On the contrary, they form a continuous flow of peace. Each rotation of the water wheel, each clunk, each rush of water is a part of nature's symphony, soothing the soul and bringing the listener into a state of deep relaxation. This is the purest form of ASMR, born from intense concentration and the steady repetition of an ancient craft. In that stillness, with only the steady turning of the water wheel and the rustle of grinding grain, the young man's mind drifts among his own thoughts. As he turns the wheel, he thinks of unnamed dreams, desires hidden deep within his heart that he has never revealed to anyone. Perhaps it's a dream of leaving the village, going to a larger city, exploring the world outside. Or perhaps it's a dream of opening his own mill,
applying new methods to make the milling process more efficient and easier. These dreams are not loud, not urgent, but merely like gentle waves passing through his mind. He remembers his father's words when he handed over this mill to him. Everything turns steadily. You just need to stand still and listen. That advice is like a mantra, a philosophy of life. He doesn't just operate the machine, he is an observer, a listener, listening to the flowing water, the turning wheel, the changing grain, and of life itself. The rotations not only grind grain, but also grind time, grind thoughts, grind worries. Each rotation seems to carry away a part of the burden, a part of the troubles, leaving behind a serene and peaceful soul. He feels a deep connection with his work, with the stream, and with life itself. This is not just a job for sustenance, but also a form of meditation, a way of connecting with the most basic, authentic aspects of existence. You can imagine the morning light shining into the mill and tiny dust particles sparkling in the air. The scent of damp wood, fresh flour, and clean stream water blend together, creating a distinctive aroma of the mill. Water sprays from the wheel, creating tiny, cool droplets on his skin, bringing refreshment and peace. The water wheel still steadily clunks, the grinding grain still rustles, and the young man's breathing is still rhythmic. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements, helping the mind to rest and relax completely. You can feel the peace enveloping the mill, and from that, feel peace for yourself. And then, when the last batch of flour is complete, the grinding stones gradually come to a halt. The young man wipes his hands on his coarse linen apron, then sits down on a flat stone by the stream bank. His eyes gaze into the distance, watching the water still flow ceaselessly, and the water wheel still turn steadily, even without grain to grind. The water still flows, creating a gentle, soothing murmur. The water wheel still turns, clunking steadily. But his mind is light, like the tiny water droplets clinging to his cheek from the spray of the wheel. No more noisy thoughts, no more worries. Only a peaceful emptiness remains, a profound tranquility. A morning has passed, slowly, steadily and deeply, like a dream that needs no end. The young man does not rush to stand up. He simply sits there, letting his mind drift with the flow of time and the sounds of nature. He feels himself to be a part of this eternal movement, a part of life's cycle. He gently closes his eyes, feeling the cool breeze caress his face. The sound of flowing water, the turning wheel, the distant chirping of birds, all are familiar sounds, lulling him into a state of absolute relaxation. This is not sleep, but a complete rest of the soul, a merging with the universe. Let these sounds lull you to sleep. The clunking of the water wheel, the rushing of the water, the rustling of grinding grain, and the vast stillness of the morning by the stream. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping your mind to rest and relax completely. Drift away with your dreams, where you are one with the peace of the boy turning the water wheel, enveloped by the gentle sounds of nature and diligent work.
Allow your mind to gently drift to an ancient stone house nestled in the heart of a small medieval village. It is barely dawn, the first rays of sunlight not yet strong enough to penetrate the small arched window high on the thick stone wall.
In the kitchen, located adjacent to the main living area of the house, where meals are prepared and stories are told, the night's chill still lingers on the stone-flagged floor. Each large gray flagstone emits a steady coolness, inviting a strange stillness. The air in the kitchen carries a distinctive scent of early morning, the smell of cool ash from the previous night's fire, the lingering scent of partially burned wood, and a hint of the sweet aroma of freshly baked barley bread from the night before. Everything is immersed in absolute stillness, occasionally broken only by the gentle whisper of wind seeping through a crack in the door, or the faint rustle of dry branches brushing against the outer wall. This is a space of anticipation, of beginning, where every sound becomes clearer and more meaningful. And in that space you will see a young woman. She is about 15 or 16 years old, with dark brown hair neatly tied back with a coarse cloth band, revealing a delicate forehead and clear eyes. Her hands are wrapped in a worn linen cloth, but they move deftly, familiar with every corner of the kitchen, every earthenware pot, every speck of ash. She is the first one awake in the house, when everyone else is still deep in sleep. No one reminds her, no one watches her, but every day she performs this task as a natural habit, an indispensable part of her daily rhythm. She does not complain, she is not rushed, she works with calm and meticulousness, as if this were a sacred ritual each morning. Her figure is slender, yet she exudes a sense of reliability and trustworthiness. And then you will listen to the sounds and rhythms of cleaning, creating a harmony of order and peace. The broom, made of dry straw, gently sweeps the stone floor, creating a steady, slow swoosh, swoosh sound, like tiny waves lapping on a sandy shore. Each sweep of the broom carries away a little dust and crumbs, returning cleanliness to the floor. The soft clinking of wood as she rearranges the stools that were used for dinner last night, then gently opens the lids of the earthenware pots waiting to be cleaned. The sound of the girl scrubbing the wooden spoon under the trickling well water makes a soft, pleasing row sound, like a tiny stream. The well water is cool and clear, washing away all impurities. The earthenware pot being placed on the cold hearth emits a deep, solid sound, evoking the stability and familiarity of a living space that has been part of many generations. Occasionally, she might give a small cough when dust rises, or a gentle sigh as she bends to pick something up. Every sound is controlled, never loud or irritating. On the contrary, they form a continuous flow of peace. Every cleaning motion, every sound is part of nature's symphony, soothing the soul and bringing the listener into a state of deep relaxation. This is the purest form of ASMR, born from diligence and the steady repetition of a familiar task. In that stillness, with only the rustling of the broom and the soft clinking of objects, the girl's mind drifts among her own thoughts. She thinks of the midday meal that will be prepared in this kitchen, perhaps a warm vegetable soup or a simple meat stew. She thinks of the fresh barley bread that will be taken to the village market in the afternoon, to be exchanged for fragrant dried apples or a bit of freshly made cheese. Thoughts of food are not just about satisfying hunger, but also about the warmth and abundance in her simple life. She remembers her grandmother's words taught to her when she was very small. A clean kitchen makes a clean mind. Hands working make a peaceful heart. That teaching has become a guiding principle in her life, applied not just to cleaning the kitchen, but to how she faces everything in life. Each cleaning motion, each time she wipes away a stain, is like a way to dispel the sadness and worries of rainy days or times when the weather turns bad. The kitchen is not just a place for cooking, but also a place for the soul to be purified, to find peace. There are no worries about a distant future, no regrets about the past, only the present moment, peaceful and complete. The girl does not try to think, does not try to solve any problems. She simply feels, simply exists in the present moment. Her breathing is regular, blending with the sound of the broom, the water, the objects. This is a natural state of meditation where the soul is cleansed and revitalized. You can imagine the faint light of early morning, just enough to illuminate the figure of the diligent girl. The scent of cool ash, partially burned wood, bread and fresh well water blend together, creating a distinctive aroma of the humble kitchen. The night's chill still lingers, but it brings refreshment and a feeling of being awake, yet very relaxed. The broom still steadily rustles, the wood still gently clinks, the water still drips, and the girl's breathing is still rhythmic. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements, helping the mind to rest and relax completely. You can feel the peace enveloping the kitchen, and from that, feel peace for yourself. And then, when everything in the kitchen is neat and clean down to every nook and cranny, the first rays of sunlight of the new day just manage to shine through the small kitchen window. The warm, delicate golden light sweeps across the stone-flagged floor, illuminating tiny dust particles still suspended in the air. The girl finishes her work. She sits down on her familiar wooden stool, washing her hands, accustomed to the work, under the well-water spigot. The water runs gently, and she softly rubs her hands together. She watches a thin wisp of smoke rise from the pot of water boiling on the rekindled fire, the water hissing softly as it heats. The white smoke curls and swirls in the air, carrying the scent of warm steam. A feeling of satisfaction and peace envelops her. A new day has begun, peaceful, rhythmic, like every other morning. Nothing special, nothing dramatic, but for the girl, every such morning is far from meaningless. It is the start of a familiar cycle, a rhythm of simple yet meaningful life. Each small task she does contributes to the warmth and order of the home, for her family and for her own soul. She sits there, letting the morning sunlight caress her face, listening to the sound of boiling water, the crackling fire, and the distant chirping of birds. All worries seem to have been cleaned away along with the dust and ash. Her soul is as pure as the morning light and as still as the flowing water. Let these sounds lull you to sleep. The broom sweeping the stone floor, the plinking of wooden objects, the flowing well water, and the warm aroma of the kitchen. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements, helping the mind to rest and relax completely. Drift away with your dreams, where you are one with the peace of the girl cleaning the kitchen every morning, enveloped by the gentle sounds of diligence and a tranquil start to a new day.
Allow your mind to gently drift to an early spring morning when the dawn mist still clings to the window panes of a cozy kitchen. Outside, the first rays of sunlight are softly touching the moss-covered tiled roof, and in the cool air you can feel the excitement slowly spreading throughout the small village. Distant hurried footsteps, murmuring voices, announce that a significant day is approaching. However, in the large kitchen of an ancient house, solidly built of stone and dark wood, the atmosphere remains unusually quiet. A profound stillness envelops the space, only occasionally broken by the crackle of dry firewood in the oven. The scent of fresh flour, a hint of dried herbs, and a touch of the sweet aroma of honey or dried fruit still permeate the air, as if inviting you into a world of flavors and memories. In the distance, the familiar church bells chime slowly, one by one, announcing the first watch of the morning. That is also when a woman begins her work. And that woman is the village baker. She is middle-aged, with a small but agile figure. Her hands are rough and calloused from years of labor, yet they move softly, gracefully, as if dancing when kneading dough or rolling pastry. She has baked cakes for over 10 weddings in the village, each cake carrying the stories, hopes, and dreams of the couples. She wears a clean, worn off-white linen apron, covering the earthy-toned wool tunic she wears underneath. Her hair is neatly tied up with a simple cloth headscarf. Her face is calm, her eyes kind but sharp, seemingly seeing into every corner of the kitchen and even the emotions of the ingredients. She works alone in the familiar space, where every tool, every corner of the kitchen is connected to memories. For her, each wedding cake is not just a dish, an item in a ritual. It is a silent blessing, a retelling of village tradition passed down from generation to generation. Each cake is a symbol of abundance, of love, and of a new beginning. And then you will listen to the distinctive sounds and flavors of the baking process, creating a harmony of diligence and joy. The sound of her hands kneading dough makes a regular thump-thump on the wooden table, a deep, soft sound like a gentle drumbeat. The faint rustle of dry flour as she sprinkles more, the sound of wood hitting the table as she rolls the dough, all create a unique rhythm, a melody of creation. The sound of her mixing eggs into the dough makes a thick plop, plop sound, evoking a sense of soft texture about to form. Then comes the faint snipping of small scissors cutting dried orange peel, the sharp sound of a knife slicing cinnamon, the sound of her pouring star anise into the mortar. All these sounds are very subtle, never loud. On the contrary, they form a continuous flow of peace. Every action, every sound is part of nature's symphony, soothing the soul and bringing the listener into a state of deep relaxation. This is the purest form of ASMR, born from diligence and the steady repetition of a familiar yet artistic task.
In that stillness,
with only the crackle of the fire and the spreading aroma of the cakes. The baker's mind is immersed in a stream of memories and beliefs. As she waits for the cakes to bake in the oven, she remembers her own wedding day. She remembers the wool dress her mother knitted for her, simple but warm and full of love. She remembers her own wedding cake back then, also very simple, not elaborate like the cake she's making now, but it was incredibly sweet, a symbol of sincere love and a cozy life. She remembers her late husband, his gentle smile, his promises, and their years together. She thinks of the radiant smiles of the young couples she has baked for, of their happy eyes and sincere thanks. Each time she opens the oven, the warmth from the hearth spills out, warming not only her body, but also her heart, with sweet memories, with hope for the future of the young people, and with faith in eternal love. There are no worries about a distant future, no regrets about the past, only the present moment, peaceful and complete. She does not try to think, does not try to solve any problems. She simply feels, simply exists in the present moment. Her breathing is regular, blending with the sound of the fire, the baking cakes, the whisper of the wind outside. This is a natural state of meditation, where the soul is cleansed and revitalized. You can imagine the warm orange light from the oven spilling out, illuminating her calm face. The scent of flour, herbs, and beeswax from the small candles on the table blend together, creating a distinctive aroma of the kitchen and of coziness. The air in the room is warm and pleasant, soothing all senses. The fire still steadily crackles, the aroma of the cakes still spreads, and her breathing remains slow. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements, helping the mind to rest and relax completely. You can feel the peace enveloping the kitchen, and from that, feel peace for yourself. And then, when the last of the wedding cakes have risen evenly, golden brown, emitting an enticing aroma, she gently uses a wooden peel to take each cake out of the oven. She places them onto a large straw basket, carefully lined with a clean white linen cloth. Each cake is placed carefully, like a treasure. When the sounds of children begin to echo outside in the yard, their playful shouts and cheers, she knows the wedding day has truly arrived. Her cakes are ready to accompany a new beginning, a new love story in the village. The kitchen remains warm, still fragrant with the smell of cakes, like a place that preserves the softest things in life, the sweetest hopes. She is not hurried. She gently tidies her baking table, putting away her tools. The small broom sweeps crumbs from the floor. Water gently washes the bowls. Everything returns to its usual order. She sits down on the stool beside the oven, closing her eyes for a moment, listening to the church bells chime more steadily, the birds singing to greet the new day, and the gentle wind sighing through the window crack. She feels a deep sense of satisfaction. It is the satisfaction of someone who has completed her work with all her heart, contributing a small part to the happiness of the community. The kitchen remains warm, still fragrant with the smell of cakes, like a place that preserves the softest things in life, the sweetest hopes. It is not just a place for preparing food, but a place that witnesses new beginnings, a repository of sweet memories, where love and tradition
are passed from generation to generation. Let these sounds lull you to sleep. The sound of hands kneading dough, the crackling fire in the oven, the spreading aroma of wedding cakes, and the vast stillness of a morning before a wedding. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping your mind to rest and relax completely. Drift away with your dreams, where you are one with the peace of the woman baking wedding cakes, enveloped by the gentle sounds of creation and love.
Allow your mind to gently drift to a cold, late winter night, when bitter winds still whistle through window cracks. It is early evening. A pitch-black darkness envelops the world, without a moon, only cold, distant stars twinkling in the boundless sky. In an ancient monastery, built with sturdy gray stone blocks, a single candle flickers on a long wooden table, worn smooth by time. The faint, warm orange light of the candle reflects onto the rough stone walls, creating long, dancing shadows, like spirits appearing and disappearing in the darkness. All sounds from outside have died away. The howling wind of the day has subsided into gentle sighs through the small glass pane, and the nocturnal insects have also fallen into their winter sleep. Only absolute stillness remains, a stillness you can feel with every breath. In that space, there is only the steady scratch of a quill on parchment, and the slow, regular breathing of the man writing. And the man writing is a solitary figure. He is about 50 years old, with salt and pepper hair, and deep wrinkles etched around his eyes and on his forehead. He lives in seclusion in this monastery after a major life event, an event that completely changed him. Once a valiant knight, or a powerful merchant with long caravans of horses, he now voluntarily lives a life of atonement, dedicating his remaining years to study, reading, and silent writing. His face is solemn. The once sharp features are now softer, devoid of tension or anger. His eyes are deeply set, bearing the thoughtful look of one who has experienced many ups and downs, but no longer burning with resentment or bitterness. They hold only stillness, acceptance. The coarse, dark gray monk's robe covers most of his body, making him appear even more solitary, yet very serene. He sits there, silently, with a goose-feather quill in his hand and a roll of parchment spread before him. And then you will listen to the sounds of repentance, creating a harmony of liberation and peace. The goose-feather quill glides gently over the parchment, creating a soft, dry, and steady scratch, scratch sound. Each stroke of the pen is a tiny friction, an effort to bring thoughts and emotions from the depths of his soul onto the surface of the page. The wind gently whistles through the cracks in the stone wall, creating a melancholic, distant melody, like the whisper of an ancient spirit. The candle burns down, dripping wax, each drop of hot wax falling onto the brass candle holder with a steady tick, tick, as if counting time, counting every moment of repentance and self-reflection. The scent of burning beeswax
ink and old parchment intertwine, creating a distinctive aroma of stillness and contemplation. Each written sentence is a slice of memory, a piece of the past authentically recreated. It is the release of burdens that had weighed him down for so long, the recognition and full acceptance of what has happened. These sounds are not loud, not hurried. On the contrary, they form a continuous flow of peace. Each sound is part of nature's symphony, soothing the soul and bringing the listener into a state of deep relaxation. This is the purest form of ASMR, born from intense concentration and the steady repetition of a deeply introspective act. In that stillness, with only the scratching of the quill and the ticking of the candle, the man is immersed in the content of his confession. It is the deepest form of self-dialogue. He writes about the mistakes he has made, without evasion or justification. He writes about the people he once hurt, perhaps with words, with actions, or with silence. He writes about the things he left unsaid when there was still time, apologies unspoken, affections never given. He does not write this confession hoping for forgiveness from others. He only wishes to acknowledge his loneliness, the loneliness that had tormented him for so many years. He longs for peace of mind, to find the inner tranquility that the secular world could not provide. The confession is not rushed, not hurried, but like a sincere conversation with himself. Each word is written slowly, carefully, as if he is piecing together the broken fragments of his life. There are no worries about a distant future, no regrets about a past he cannot change. Only the present moment, peaceful and complete. He does not try to think, does not try to solve any problems. He simply feels, simply exists in the present moment. His breathing is regular, blending with the sound of the quill, the candle, and the gentle wind outside. This is a natural state of meditation, where the soul is cleansed and revitalized. You can imagine the warm golden light from the candle casting shadows, highlighting his contemplative face. The scent of parchment, ink, beeswax, and the cold stone of the monastery blend together, creating a distinctive aroma of stillness and introspection. The air in the room is cool and pleasant, soothing all senses. The quill still steadily scratches, the candle still ticks, and his breathing remains slow. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements helping the mind to rest and relax completely. You can feel the peace enveloping the room, and from that, feel peace for yourself. And then, when he puts the final period on the last page, a gentle sigh of relief escapes his chest. He carefully places the goose-feather quill down, the pen touching the wooden table with a very faint clack. He gently folds the parchment, crease by crease, meticulously, then ties it tightly with a coarse hemp string, as if sealing a part of his past. Then he blows out the single burning candle. The flame flickers, dwindles, then disappears into darkness, leaving a thin wisp of smoke and a faint scent of beeswax. The room is now completely dark, with only stillness and the lingering warmth. He stands up, walks to the fireplace, long cold, and gently blows a thin layer of ash from it, as an act of closing a whole chapter of his youth, a time that has passed. In the dim darkness of the room, he takes slow, steady steps towards his simple wooden bed. He does not confess to the world, needing no judgment from outside. He confesses only to himself, to his conscience, and to God. And finally, in the absolute stillness of the night, he falls asleep peacefully. His sleep will be deep and dreamless, for his soul has been cleansed, freed from the burdens of the past. This is a new beginning, not with noise or haste, but with stillness, with inner peace. Let these sounds lull you to sleep. The scratching of the quill on parchment, the ticking of the candle, the whistling wind through the window crack, and the vast stillness of a night of repentance in the monastery. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping your mind to rest and relax completely. Drift away with your dreams where you are one with the peace of the man writing a confession.
Allow your mind to drift to a small market, nestled behind ancient trees at the edge of the forest, as late afternoon slowly descends. The stalls are beginning to pack up, the rustle of canvas, the clatter of wooden crates, and the creak of ox carts departing, carrying away the remaining goods. The air is less noisy than at midday, with only the murmurs of lingering vendors and the hurried footsteps of the last buyers. The sun is gradually setting on the horizon, painting a portion of the sky red and casting its last golden orange rays onto the decaying wooden roofs of the village. On the porch of an old tavern, built of stone and dark wood, a man sits silently on a worn wooden bench. In his hands he holds a long stringed instrument, curved like an arc, old and darkened by time. Most people pay little attention to him, for he has become a familiar part of this market, a faint figure amidst the clamor of life. But his music, though not loud or showy, rings out gently, like a cool, refreshing breeze at the end of the day, weaving into every corner of the air, bringing with it a strange stillness. And the man playing the instrument is a blind musician. He is a middle-aged man, no longer young, but not yet frail. His eyes are cloudy, lifeless, for he has been blind since childhood, knowing nothing of the colors or light of this world. However, that does not prevent him from wandering from village to village, living by his music. His face is kind, with deep wrinkles etched at the corners of his eyes, marks of rare but sincere smiles. His hair is white, slightly disheveled and dusty from the road, yet it exudes a simple, approachable charm. His cloudy eyes, though unseeing, carry a gentleness, an indescribable inner peace. He lives on dry bread and the small coins people leave in the old straw hat placed at his feet. He does not beg, he does not plead, he simply sits there, quietly singing and playing, letting his music speak for itself. He is a storyteller through sound, an artist through melody. And then you will listen to the sounds of a wordless song, creating a flow of emotions and memories. His old stringed instrument produces rustic,
simple yet haunting music. The strings vibrate faintly, like the gentle breath of someone in a deep sleep. The sound is not fast, not elaborate, without complex techniques. It is merely a continuous flow of simple, profound notes. His music is like small waves, gently lapping at every corner of the fading afternoon. Each note rings out, then dissolves into the air, leaving a soft echo, inviting contemplation. Each musical phrase carries its own rhythm. Sometimes it is a quiet, unspoken sorrow for something lost. Sometimes it is a vague memory of distant days, of beloved faces that have receded into the past. The sound of his fingers gently gliding over the strings creates a very faint, very subtle friction. The string hums, then slowly fades, like a sigh. Every sound is controlled, never loud or irritating. On the contrary, they form a continuous flow of peace. Each note, each pluck of the string is part of nature's symphony, soothing the soul and bringing the listener into a state of deep relaxation. This is the purest form of ASMR, born from intense concentration and the steady repetition of a deeply introspective act. In that stillness, with only the haunting sound of the instrument and the breath of night, memories and whispered stories begin to emerge in the listener's mind. People say this blind man once had a wife. She had a voice as high and clear as a bird's song, and she always sang with him whenever he played. They were a perfect couple. Their music brought joy to villages far and wide. But then, on a cold winter, she passed away forever, leaving him alone with his instrument and his loneliness. Since then he has not sung. His singing died with his wife's passing. He only plays, and every afternoon his music is an unspoken message to his departed wife. It is a sad love song, a promise never to forget. Sometimes children sit and listen to him play for a long time, their eyes wide as they look at him, even though they don't fully understand the story. They listen, and gradually the music lulls them to sleep. They slump beside him, sleeping peacefully. Some old people pass by, pause for a moment, listen quietly, and then tears stream down their wrinkled cheeks, not from sadness, but from deep empathy, as old memories flood back. They understand his music, for it speaks the silent sorrows of those who have experienced many ups and downs in life. He does not try to attract attention. He simply shares his soul through music. He needs no words, no gazes. Just to be heard, to be felt, is enough. There are no worries about a distant future, no regrets about a past he cannot change. Only the present moment, peaceful and complete. He does not try to think, does not try to solve any problems. He simply feels, simply exists in the present moment. His breathing is regular, blending with the sound of his instrument, the gentle wind outside. This is a natural state of meditation, where the soul is cleansed and revitalized. You can imagine the faint light of the dying afternoon enveloping his solitary figure. The scent of damp earth, the old wood of his instrument, and the cool air of the late afternoon mingle, creating a distinctive aroma of stillness and contemplation. The atmosphere in the market gradually becomes quiet, pleasant, soothing all senses. The instrument still steadily hums, the wind still whistles, and his breathing remains slow. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements, helping the mind to rest and relax completely. You can feel the peace enveloping the space, and from that, feel peace for yourself. And then, as night has truly fallen and the market is completely deserted, the blind man gently stops playing. The music ceases, leaving an empty silence. He places his instrument aside, next to his old straw hat, and quietly smiles. His smile is very faint, very gentle, as if he has just completed something profoundly important, a deep conversation with himself and with the world. He asks for nothing. He does not expect anyone to remember him or his music. He just needs to play, to be heard, to live in his own quiet solitude. In the dim darkness of the night, his music seems to still echo in the air, even though the strings are silent. Because some songs do not live by sound. They live in memory, in the souls of those who have listened and felt. He gently closes his eyes, feeling the stillness that envelops him. The night wind, the distant insects, and his own steady breath all blend together, lulling him into a deep sleep. This is a peaceful end to a day and a preparation for a dreamless sleep. The blind musician has shared his story, not with words, but with notes that touch the heart. Let these sounds lull you to sleep. The gentle vibration of the stringed instrument, the late afternoon wind, the sounds of market-goers packing up, and the vast stillness of a night at the end of the day. All are natural, authentic ASMR elements of the Middle Ages, helping your mind to rest and relax completely.
Take a deep breath and gently exhale. Repeat once more. Inhale peace. Exhale all worries. Feel the warmth emanating from your body, the softness of your bread, and the stillness that envelops the space around you. We have journeyed together through ancient villages, old forests, and silent monasteries of the Middle Ages. Now is the time for those images, sounds, and emotions to gently sink into your subconscious, guiding you toward a profound sleep. Close your eyes. Feel the heaviness of your eyelids, the relaxation gradually spreading from the top of your head down to your toes. Imagine you are lying on a soft straw bed in a cozy wooden house. The night wind rustles softly outside the window, carrying the scent of damp earth and the fragrance of distant forest plants. You hear the faint crackle of dry wood in the almost extinguished fireplace, tiny sparks dancing, then slowly fading, leaving a gentle warmth and a faint reddish-orange glow. Imagine the calloused yet loving hands of the grandmother gently stroking your hair. You hear her softly whispering fairy tales of brave knights and beautiful princesses, her voice deep and steady, like a small stream flowing over pebbles. The swish, swish of her needle, the soft rustle of the thread, all are sounds of peace and love, soothing your soul. Feel the sweet aroma of freshly baked bread from the kitchen where the girl cleans every morning. You hear the swish, swish of the straw broom on the stone floor, the gentle drip, drip of well water into a ceramic pitcher. Each sound is a part of the simple, authentic, unhurried life of medieval ages. Let these sounds wash away all tension, all lingering noisy thoughts in your mind. Now let your mind drift to the stream, where the enormous waterwheel steadily turns. You hear the deep, gentle clunk, clunk of the wooden paddles hitting the water, the rush, rush of the stream flowing through each gap, the rustle, rustle of the millstone grinding grain, steady and slow, like the heartbeat of the universe itself. Feel the cool mist from the waterwheel splashing on your face, bringing refreshment and a sense of harmony with nature. Allow these repetitive, steady sounds to lull you into a gentle trance where time seems to stand still. You are lying there, feeling your body grow heavier, more relaxed. Every muscle is loosening, from your toes, your feet, your calves, knees, thighs. Allow the relaxation to spread up to your abdomen, back, chest, shoulders. Feel the softness of your hands, each finger, palm, arm. The relaxation is flooding up your neck to your head, your face. Every wrinkle is smoothed, every tension dissolves. Imagine yourself in the ancient monastery where the solitary man writes his confession. You hear the scratch, scratch of the goose-feather quill on parchment, the regular tick, tick of the candle dripping wax as if counting time. The wind whistles softly through the cracks in the stone wall, distant and silent. These are the sounds of contemplation, of soul purification. Let these sounds soothe away any lingering worries, any remaining troubles within you. You don't need to think. You don't need to solve anything. Just listen and feel. You can also hear the rustic, haunting sound of the blind musician's stringed instrument in the late afternoon market. The wordless music, just simple yet emotional notes, like a whispered story of memories, of past sorrows, and of the beauty of acceptance. That sound is like small waves caressing your soul, leading you into a space of inner peace. The sparse footsteps of people leaving the market, the rustle of wind through the leaves, all are sounds of the day ending, of the transition to a peaceful night. Feel the warmth of the straw mattress, the scent of old wood from the room, and absolute safety. Everything around you is sinking into sleep. The farmers are sleeping soundly in their huts. The knights have shed their armor, lost in dreams. The priests have extinguished their candles, immersed in their final prayers of the day. The medieval world is sinking into sleep, and so are you. You are drifting in a warm, quiet space where the worries of modern life cannot reach you. The distant hoot of an owl, the steady chirp of crickets, all are sounds of life asleep. You are a part of this stillness, a part of this profound peace. Allow your mind to let go of any lingering thoughts. If any images or sounds distract you, gently acknowledge them. Then let them float away like clouds in the sky. You don't need to hold on to anything. Just let go. Completely let go.
Now you are in a safe place, surrounded by the gentle sounds of the Middle Ages, stories of simplicity, patience, and love. You are drifting into a deep and dreamless sleep, a restorative sleep. Each breath you take is steady, deep, drawing you further into sleep. Feel the beat of your heart, slow and stable. It is the rhythm of life, of peace. You are completely relaxed, completely peaceful. Let your imagination carry you to vast lavender fields under the silver moonlight. You lie among the fragrant purple blossoms, their gentle scent lulling you to sleep. The night wind caresses your hair like an invisible hand comforting you. Or perhaps you are in an ancient library, where there is only the soft rustle of parchment pages turning, the faint crackle of a candle, and the smell of old paper. You don't need to read. Just listen to these sounds, letting them soothe your mind and lead you into dreams. Imagine a peaceful river flowing through a dense forest. The water flows steadily, the sound of water lapping against the banks. Drip, drip, gurgle, gurgle. Small fish swim gently, creating tiny ripples on the water's surface. You are lying in a small wooden boat, drifting down the river, carrying you further, deeper into sleep. There is nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. You are completely safe, completely at peace. Sleep is coming, gently and naturally, like night falling after a long day. Feel the warmth of the blanket covering you. It is like a gentle embrace wrapping around you, protecting you from all worries. Inhale and exhale, steadily. Each breath is a step into the world of dreams. All the sounds of the Middle Ages that we have experienced together, the swish of the broom, the clunk of the waterwheel, the scratch of the quill, the crackle of fire, the whistle of the wind, are now slowly fading into a single symphony of stillness. They are the final whispers from the past, lulling you into a peaceful slumber. Now you are no longer just a listener. You are a part of that stillness. You are the breath of the night, the smoke from the chimney, the melting candle wax. You are peace. Your body is completely relaxed. Your mind is completely tranquil. All thoughts have vanished. Only absolute peace remains. You are sinking deeper into sleep, deeper, even deeper. Let these ancient stories guide your most beautiful dreams. Sleep well. Your sleep is now intertwined with the eternal stillness of the Middle Ages. The story has ended. The last sound faded like a wisp of smoke in the night. Everything has been told gently and fully, like closing a book in the quiet hours. Now you may return to your world. Turn off the screen, pull the blanket close, let go. Or stay a little longer and let the memories hum softly in your mind. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If this brought you peace, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me when you listened and how it made you feel. Until next time, I love you.